You spend 2 decades in a race car. You learn who to trust and who to never give an inch. Tony Stewart built a reputation on raw aggression and unfiltered honesty. 3 Cup Series championships, 49 victories. A career defined by refusing to back down from anyone. But behind the fire and the fury, there were drivers he could not stand. Men who tested his limits, who pushed back harder than they should have, who made every race feel like a fight he never wanted to forget. At 52 years old, the truth comes out. The drivers Tony Stewart hated the most. Before we reveal the drivers Tony Stewart could not stand, we need to understand who this man truly is. Because his story is not just about winning races, it is about refusing to play by rules he never agreed to follow. Tony Stewart was born on May 20, 1971, in Columbus, Indiana. Racing was not handed to him through family legacy. He earned it through go-karts, sprint cars, and open-wheel racing where every mistake could end a career. By the time he reached NASCAR in 1999, Stewart had already proven himself in multiple disciplines. He was not just another rookie. He was a champion arriving with something to prove. Stewart entered the Cup Series with Joe Gibbs Racing and immediately made his presence felt. He won 3 races in his rookie season. By 2002, he captured his first championship. Then 2005. Then 2011. 3 Cup Series titles, 49 career victories, 2 Daytona 500 wins, numbers that put him among the sport's elite. But statistics never told Stewart's full story. His reputation was built on something deeper: aggression, emotion, a refusal to hide what he felt. When Stewart was angry, everyone knew it. When he believed a driver crossed the line, he said it. And when someone disrespected him, he made sure they remembered the consequences. On the track, Stewart raced like every lap was personal. He squeezed competitors into walls. He bumped under caution. He sent messages through sheet metal that left no room for misinterpretation. Some drivers respected the intensity. Others feared it. And a few pushed back, creating rivalries that defined entire seasons. Off the track, Stewart's interviews were brutally honest. He did not sugarcoat frustration. He did not hide behind corporate answers. He spoke his mind. Consequences be damned. That honesty made him a fan favorite, but it also made him enemies inside the garage. Stewart retired from full-time racing in 2016, but the grudges never faded. The names on his private list stayed buried. And the drivers who tested his patience too many times. The competitors who disrespected the intensity he brought every single week. The men who made him race with an edge sharper than anyone else dared to match. At 52 years old, Tony Stewart has nothing left to protect, no championships to chase, no reason to stay silent. These are the drivers Tony Stewart hated the most on the track. Number 5. Carl Edwards. Carl Edwards brought a level of aggressive racing that irritated Stewart from the first moment they battled. Edwards raced like he had nothing to lose. He dove into corners late. He squeezed cars on exit. And he smiled through all of it, as if the chaos was part of the entertainment. At Gateway, Edwards turned Stewart hard into the wall during a nationwide series race. Stewart's car was destroyed. Edwards climbed from his car, did a backflip for the crowd, and acted like nothing had happened. Stewart saw that celebration. The fury in his eyes was unmistakable. This was not just racing. This was disrespect. The tension exploded at Talladega when Edwards blocked Stewart so aggressively that contact sent both cars spinning through the tri-oval. Stewart climbed from the wreck and pointed directly at Edwards's car. The message was clear. This was not over. Edwards had crossed a line Stewart would never forgive. Number 4. Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin was Stewart's teammate at Joe Gibbs Racing. That should have created respect. Instead, it created tension that never fully disappeared. Hamlin raced Stewart like any other competitor, refusing to give his teammate the space Stewart believed he had earned. At Auto Club Speedway, Hamlin squeezed Stewart on a restart, forcing the 14 car to lift and lose positions. Stewart radioed his frustration immediately. The crew heard the anger in his voice. Hamlin had made racing personal, even inside the same organization. Then came Fontana. Hamlin blocked Stewart so hard, entering turn 1, that Stewart's car nearly lost control at 180 miles per hour. After the race, Stewart's words were direct and cutting. He called Hamlin's move stupid and reckless. For Stewart, who rarely held back criticism, that public condemnation said everything. Hamlin had tested his patience one too many times. Off the track, the relationship was cold. They shared the same owner, the same garage, the same resources. But respect never developed. Hamlin drove with confidence that bordered on arrogance in Stewart's eyes. And Stewart had no patience for teammates who treated him like an obstacle instead of an ally. That tension earned Denny Hamlin a permanent place on this list. Number 3, Kurt Busch. Kurt Busch and Tony Stewart were cut from the same cloth. Both aggressive, both unfiltered, both willing to say what others only thought. That similarity should have created mutual respect. Instead, it created collisions that turned personal faster than either man expected. At Watkins Glen, Busch and Stewart battled wheel to wheel through the inner loop. Contact sent Stewart spinning into the gravel. He saved the car, but the damage was done. Stewart climbed from the cockpit with a stare that could melt steel. Busch had crossed him, and Stewart never forgot moments like that. Then came Bristol. Busch bumped Stewart under caution, a move so deliberate the officials issued warnings to both teams. Stewart's response was immediate. He confronted Busch on pit road after the race. Words were exchanged. Crew members stepped between them. The tension was visible to everyone watching. For two men who prided themselves on never backing down, this rivalry was inevitable. And it never truly ended. Number 2, Matt Kenseth. Matt Kenseth was quiet, calculated, and dangerously patient. That patience is what bothered Stewart most. Kenseth never retaliated immediately. He waited, he planned, and when the moment arrived, he struck without warning. At Martinsville, Kenseth intentionally wrecked Joey Logano under yellow in an act of revenge that shocked the entire sport. Stewart watched from the garage. His reaction was complicated. He respected the boldness, but he hated the recklessness. Kenseth had crossed from competitor into chaos agent. Their personal battle came at Kansas when Kenseth squeezed Stewart into the wall on a late restart. Stewart's car scraped concrete. He saved it, but the fury was immediate. After the race, Stewart did not hide his feelings. He called Kenseth's move unnecessary and over the line. For Stewart, who respected hard racing but despised cheap shots, Kenseth had revealed himself as a driver who could not be trusted. Number 1, Jeff Gordon. There was only one driver who truly got under Tony Stewart's skin more than any other: Jeff Gordon. Not because of one incident, but because of everything Gordon represented: polished, corporate, controlled, everything Stewart refused to become. At Watkins Glen, Gordon bumped Stewart in the final turn, on stealing a victory Stewart thought he had secured. Stewart climbed from his car with rage barely contained. He never forgot that moment. Then came Bristol. Stewart intentionally wrecked Gordon under yellow, spinning the 24 car in front of thousands of fans. Gordon confronted Stewart afterward. The conversation was brief, heated, and settled nothing. Stewart smiled through it all, as if the conflict fueled him. Off the track, their personalities clashed constantly. Gordon was measured. Stewart was explosive. Gordon played by the rules. Stewart rewrote them. For Tony Stewart, Jeff Gordon was not just a rival. He was everything wrong with where the sport was heading. Tony Stewart's legacy was never built on restraint. It was built on fire, aggression, and a refusal to back down from anyone. Carl Edwards, Denny Hamlin, Kurt Busch, Matt Kenseth and Jeff Gordon pushed him harder than any track ever could. They tested his limits, crossed his lines, and made him race with an intensity that defined his entire career. At 52 years old, Stewart no longer hides the truth. These 5 drivers were not just competitors. They were the rivals who turned a kid from Indiana into one of the most feared drivers in NASCAR history. Subscribe for more untold racing stories.